Captain's log, stardate 54612.7. For the first time in the war against the Borg, the Federation is launching an offensive action. Intelligence has determined that the Borg have hidden a trans-warp portal in an uninhabited region of space dominated by tachyon nebulas. We must gain control of that portal in order to stage our assault into the Delta Quadrant.
Oh man, will someone please tell the Federation Council that this is the worst idea in the history of bad ideas? Can't you just destroy the portal or something? I mean, come on.
That is a logical request.
Welcome back to Star Trek Armada 2, guys, and this is episode 5. And in a colossally terrible move, at least strategically wise, we are going to try and capture a Borg transwarp portal and follow it back where it came from.
Decommission commencing.
For some reason they've given us a dilithium mining station in the middle of absolutely nowhere, so I'm going to get rid of that. We do, however, already have 2 trading stations, so they're going to get us absolutely no dilithium whatsoever, being that close to each other, but I suppose something's better than nothing. We have some Defiant class vessels, so I'm going to research antimatter mines, and I'm going to get the Ventures to have a good scout around. Unfortunately, at the start of this mission, you're pretty much under constant attack, so you have to put your base together while under fire. The Borg don't send anything too hideous at you, so it's quite easy to hold them off for the moment. They all seem to come from the same place. They either come from the left-hand side, where they get trapped in the gravity well of the planet, or they come from the front, in which case the starbase and the turrets will rip them a new one.
That is a logical request.
Yeah, I noticed that they gave us a ton of... They gave us our dilithium point already set up, but they didn't give us a metal mining facility. We've got to do that ourselves. Honestly, whoever set this base up needs a good talking to from Starfleet Command. And oh dear. Yeah, waltzing in the front door next to a starbase with weak ships is not a good idea. You think the Borg would have got that by now. Oh dear, I opened my big mouth. And this is the first appearance of the Borg Tactical Cube. From those of you who have seen the Voyager episode Unimatrix Zero, it's a cube that the Collective designed in order to take on the threats from Species 8472 and the Federation. And it's basically a cube with a shed load of armour on it, more weapons, and according to a couple of websites that I've looked at, a tactical cube's approximately 1.5 times as strong as a normal Borg cube. So when things go from bad to worse, and I think they have probably gone to exceedingly bad at this point in time. We do have a lot of resources available to us. We've got 2 metal planets, 2 dilithium moons, and a massive Latinum nebula. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting that all up and running. Get this planet colonised as well, because as usual I'm going to run out of crew at a pretty rapid rate. And oh, look what I've found! That would be an infinite dilithium moon, which the Borg are currently in control of. That's completely unacceptable. Only I'm allowed infinite dilithium moons. Forgot where I was up to then, I think, and going to get the metal mining operation going on this moon as well. Sorry, this planet. It's hard to judge sometimes, especially given where the planet is.
Will do.
Oop, almost put 4 on a dilithium moon there. Oh, the Enterprise has decided to ignore me completely. That's not a good idea. Get back here before you get destroyed. Sheesh. If you want me to follow this terrible idea of yours, at least behave.
Make it so.
Station construction commencing.
There we
Go to
go.
yellow alert.
Now you sit behind. Now you sit at the starbase and behave. Okay, that looks fairly sorted for the moment. I still don't have the infrastructure necessary at the moment to start churning out big ships, but... Aha! Right, so we've found a few Borg bases now. I want to get rid of those before I start thinking about assaulting the main area. Now, as you can see, we've got a bit of an overflow of dilithium here, so I am going to go mass Janeway, which I think anyone would be pretty much scared of at this point. Mainly because I want to use the metal to research the Colbamite reflector and build the Vulcan Science Institute. So I'm going to use the excess dilithium I have at the moment to crank out a few Intrepid class ships. And now that I've got the metal up and running after a cut, let's get that Vulcan Science Lab down to be able to build Sovereign class ships and to be able to upgrade our ships, because we're going to need to.
Starship complete.
After the initial attacks and sending that tactical cube in, the Borg aren't really sending anything that's going to upset us. Since we've got Akira class ships available here, I'm going to research the chain reaction pulsar. If we get to a point later on in the game where my dilithium and metal are fairly next to each other, then I can just build Akiras rather than Intrepids. But I do like Intrepid class ships, mainly because of their speed and the fact that their phasers are incredibly powerful, and once you get up to level 2 or 3 weapons, they really do start becoming a pain. They can take on multiple ships of higher tier than their own. Akiras tend to be... I don't know if this is me or where they get targeted by the enemy a lot more, but Akiras to me just tend to die a lot easier than Intrepids do. Intrepids just seem to be able to burn through things in high enough numbers before anything goes hideously wrong. Anyway, just taking out this small Borg base here because I want that infinite dilithium moon, and additionally it means that they've lost some of their shipbuilding capacity. Not a lot of it, it's pretty easy to rebuild a assembly matrix, but it at least makes them a little bit blind in this area rather than uh-oh.
Enemy engaged.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of mass Janeway against the Borg. Looks like I've even got a repair ship in there as well, so that fleet should have at least some longevity to it.
Station is under attack.
Oh god.
Where are we needed?
I really don't need humongous amounts of cubes descending on me at this point. As you can see, the Akiras are the ones that are biting it. I think they were at the front of my formation, but really I've only got Intrepids left at this point, which isn't too wonderful. And the Akira burned off its chain reaction pulsar earlier, so slight problem. Oh, there's the repair ship. It's finally got round to coming here. How nice. Well, there goes that little Borg fleet that was planning on ambushing me, and yep, only got Intrepids left. Well, they'll have to be the backbone of the fleet for the moment, because I'm just not in any position to start cranking out Sovereigns. I don't have the crew to be able to do that by any stretch of the imagination. But looks like my construction ship has arrived, so let's get this dilithium refinery down. And I think a starbase in this area is probably a good idea as well.
That is a logical request.
In fact, here is said starbase. We'll get my crew levels up quite nicely, and it'll allow me to start cranking out more of the heavier ships, because as nice as Intrepid class vessels are, and I do like Intrepid class vessels, they're not strong enough to be taking on 1 billion Borg ships, and the odds are we're going to be taking on 1 billion Borg ships by this point, because as they mentioned, there is a transwarp portal in the system, so for every minute we're not in control of it, more Borg ships are capable of flying in from the Delta Quadrant. Doesn't really make me feel any better. Still, the Vulcan Research Institute is done, and let's get this dilithium refinery up and running as well.
That is a logical request.
And we can move on to the next part of the level. Now that I've got an infinite dilithium moon at my disposal, I'm going to take my fleet of Intrepids and try and secure the rest of the map.
Station
First things
construction
first, let's get
commencing.
those weapons upgraded. As I said, the
Standing
Intrepid
by.
class ships with upgraded weapons can really burn through a great deal of resistance. I'm just going to wait until this starbase is operational, so there's no danger of the Borg coming through and just whopping the dilithium mining station.
Station complete.
Nope, that's online now. Excellent. I do want a slightly more advanced shipyard. I don't really want to have to come all the way back to the front, but send the Voyagers or the Intrepids back there, and yeah, I really do need to saturate that dilithium moon a little bit quicker than I am
Station
doing.
complete. Starship construction commencing.
Yeah, I'm saturating
Enemy
that one
engaged.
fast enough, but this one was a little bit slow, but we're okay.
We will comply.
The Borg continue to throw ships against my brick wall, otherwise
Starship
known as a
complete.
starbase.
Starship complete.
And when I first saw this area, I honestly thought that it was only a small outpost, but you'll come to see it's a little bit more than that. But the results are
Starship
fairly
complete.
surprising. I'll let you watch.
Reroute power to weapons. Reroute power to weapons. Initiate new attack pattern.
Enemy engaged. Research complete.
Initiate new attack pattern. Acknowledge Starfleet.
Yep, despite it being a little bit of an ambush and a much
Enemy
bigger base than I
engaged.
thought, the Intrepid class ships won. With a little bit of help from the upgrade to their weaponry completing right in the middle of the battle, so they were able to take the Borg cube out. But that's not a bad effort at all, and it looks like we've hit a major Borg mining
Reroute power
area.
to
So
weapons.
with taking control of this area as well, we really have dealt the Borg a pretty significant
Right.
blow. Yeah, they've lost an awful lot of their mining capacity here.
Initiate new
So
attack
we
pattern.
can just go ahead and take this area for ourselves. And we also have a Class M planet here. And as anyone who's familiar with Class M planets will know, they're extremely good for biological life. So that means that we can colonize it and get a high amount of crew to come in. And additionally, they're not too bad on metal content either. It's slow to extract, but there is a lot of it on the
Starship
planet.
construction
So
commencing.
I'm going to colonize that ASAP, and I'm also going
Will
to
do.
get all these dilithium
All work
moons,
crews report to station.
fully saturated.
You got it.
And that means now I can move on to hyper advanced ship production. But well done to my Intrepid class ships. They really did a number on the
Starship
Borg there.
construction
And now, speaking
commencing.
of doing a number, it's time for mass sovereign production.
Starship complete.
And I don't think that the
Print
Borg
all
are going to be
systems.
able to stop
Bring us
this.
about.
If we can... We now control the entire bottom half of the map, including an infinite dilithium moon, so
Enemy
we can pretty much
engaged.
now just hit the cap The Borg aren't
Starship
going to
complete.
threaten us in any
Station is under
major
attack.
way, so the aim now is just to fill up to the cap for Sovereign class
Confirmed.
ships.
Colonization has begun.
Good, and hopefully my construction ship's coming over. Yep, there it is, perfect. So I will be able
Starship
to
construction commencing.
build a metal mining facility here first, just to make sure that we've got the planet exactly how we want it. They do act as a kind of sensor platform as well, because they rotate
Station
around the
construction
planet. You always
commencing.
get a good look at what's going on. Just owning the planet itself, you don't get to see an awful lot. Obviously, when you colonize a planet,
Starship
apparently you don't
complete.
put anything in the way of sensors or weaponry on it, so you're totally blind to the opposition. That was something that they might have been able to do with the game, is put planetary weapons online, at least give a planet the same firepower as a
Colonization was
starbase.
successful.
I don't know, maybe that would have broken the game a little bit just due to the sheer firepower you'd be
Starship
able to bring at that
complete.
point. If you put a starbase in orbit around a planet, you'd probably create
Enemy
something which is pretty
engaged.
much uncrackable except by a super weapon, so maybe I'm talking out of my backside there. Anyway, the Borg are continuing to be completely useless. Hopefully we can get this station up
Starship
and running
complete.
quickly, and I'm leaving my heroic Intrepids to
Station is under attack.
Yeah, the Borg are not going to last very long against a starbase. And with upgraded weaponry, it just makes it even worse for them. I think turrets with level 2 or 3 weaponry
Starship
just
complete.
absolutely
All
annihilate
work crews report to
ships
station.
in non-large numbers. You
Stay
have
the course.
to. It has to be a pretty dedicated attack in order to break through something like that.
A prudent course of action.
This is probably a little bit unnecessary, but I am going to plop it down anyway. I've got a massive amount of dilithium and metal coming in, and I am going to
Starship
want to get a
complete.
bit more mobile.
Insufficient dilithium.
That was annoying.
Unable to build.
That was also annoying at this point. I'm going to stop being an idiot at this
That is
point.
a
I
logical
am.
request.
Enemy
I promise you.
engaged. Station is under attack.
And yeah, as you can see, 2 phaser turrets are now, because they're upgraded,
Starship
and now holding
complete.
off a Borg cube.
Insufficient crew.
I may end up losing one of them here, but nope, doesn't look like it. It did get quite badly damaged, but
Starship
the Borg
construction
really have got to
commencing.
start attacking in more force than that if they want to try and break through this line.
There is no more latinum in this nebula.
And let's buy some dilithium just so that we don't get our Sovereign class starship production halted, and we'll buy some metal
Starship
as well.
complete.
Got
Insufficient
enough for another
crew.
starbase there in case I want to emergency plump
Station
one
is
down.
under attack.
And Intrepid's getting involved again. Only slight problem being that the Borg now know we're here, but that's not really going to be a big deal. These Sovereigns have got their Corbomite reflector. I did research that earlier. I'm being a bit lax with upgrading my ships here, which is a little bit disappointing. I really should be working on weapons and shields. Well, I can't research weapons any further, so
Research
let's
commencing.
research shields. A lot of the Federation weaponry is very defensive in nature, and it's all about making their ships last as long as possible. Yeah, I've not placed a starbase in a tremendous position
complete.
here because my dilithium refinery is still pretty
Station construction
pretty
commencing.
undefended.
Enemy
But I suppose what I
engaged.
could do here is have a forward-lying. Oh, you. Ugh. I suppose I could have a forward-lying
Give the word.
area for
Ready and able.
forward-lying shipbuilding facility, rather than having them all built at the back and then having to bring them to the front. It'd be a little bit better
Steady as she
to
goes.
build them all at the front, and then at least I've got a really
Station is
quick
under
go-to
attack.
if I want to get my ships repaired. Well, that takes care of the ships that the
and
Borg
able.
were hiding. And it looks like my Intrepids are getting involved again, and the Borg are just losing ships hand over fist at this point. They could have an infinite dilithium moon at their disposal,
Station
it's certainly
complete.
possible, but their The computer as a whole, really, certainly when it controls the Borg, it doesn't attack in anything like big enough numbers to cause you major
Prepare the docking
grief.
bays. Confirmed, Starfleet.
And yeah, I'm decided to build a few torpedo turrets here.
Station construction commencing.
If the Borg can't handle phaser turrets when they're upgraded, they certainly can't handle torpedo turrets. Well, first round of Sovereign class ships completed. Let's get another round going. I should probably build a second advanced shipyard here and just double pump them out.
Starship
Gonna bring in a few repair ships as well, because I want my Sovereigns to last as long as
All
possible.
work crews report to station.
They can take a beating anyway with their cold mount reflectors and powerful shields, but having a repair ship on standby always helps.
Starship complete.
And since this trading station isn't really doing me any good, I'm going to disassemble this one and I'm going to rebuild it. Main reason for that is the further away trading stations are, the more latinum you get out of the transactions that take
Standing
place.
ready.
So I'm going to shove my
Starship
cargo
complete.
ships down here and build a few new ones,
Starship construction
because the
commencing.
trading stations are going to be a little bit further away from each other. And I am going to rebuild it. As you can see, the production of Sovereign class starships is coming along very, very nicely.
Starship complete.
And
Starship
just getting
complete.
rid of 3 of them.
Where are we
and
needed?
Adding a repair ship to the group, and I'm going to
Change
move
heading.
these over to my secondary base so that they're out of the way for the moment.
Station complete.
And continue the spam.
Starship complete.
That's an awful lot of ships. I kinda like the idea. Sovereign class ships are basically
Proceed.
the Federation's ultimate
We will comply.
weapon for the most part.
Starship.
It's weird how they were designed.
Insufficient
Originally it was
crew.
going to be the Galaxy class ship from Next Generation, and then suddenly the Sovereign class ship appears and it is just so much more powerful than the Galaxy class ship,
Starship
so much
construction
sleeker.
commencing.
And if you look a bit into the canon of the history of the Sovereign class ship,
Unable to
apparently the
build.
Federation had the designs
All
for
work crews
it,
report to station.
or at least the idea
Insufficient
for it
crew.
around the time of Wolf 359. So
That is a logical
it took them a
request.
while to get it
Station
into
construction
production,
commencing.
but at the end of the day, they've produced a ship that I think most people were happy with as the
Enemy
successor
engaged.
to the Galaxy class
Station
Enterprise.
is under attack.
The only problem is if you're playing a game like Star Trek
Station
Online or something
complete.
like that, I think that most people are going to want to be a Sovereign class ship. If you give people the choice, it's kind of like if you're playing in a Star Wars game and you give people the choice of being a Jedi or something else. The vast majority of people are
Research
going to end up
complete.
being a Jedi. Or a Dark
Research
Jedi for the most
commencing.
part, because most people just can't resist going to the dark side. I mean, it just seems a lot cooler to shove Force lightning up people. Anyway, I'm just doing the last upgrade to my fleet now, and this is
Give
my
the word.
second group of Sovereigns and
word.
repair ships. So at this point it's time for us to
Standing
go
by.
on the offensive. I'm nearing
Ready
the officer
and
cap
able.
limit,
Standing
so I'll have a
Give the
few
word.
replacements on standby just in
Ready
case
and
this
able.
goes wrong, but a fleet of 32 Sovereign class starships
Standing
is
by.
enough to take on pretty much anything.
Altering
Except it's
course.
26 and 6 repair ships. Well, that's still enough to take on pretty much anything. And there's my forward base,
work
just in
crews report to
case
station.
anything happens. I can build more ships and get them repaired quicker. That's
Station
why I'm building
complete.
the second rubbishy
Awaiting orders.
starship normal
Enemy
shipyard, because it's
engaged.
extremely quick to build, and it just allows a secondary place where I can repair my fleet, because repairing
Give the
32
word.
ships at one shipyard takes an awfully long time. I could probably get away with building a couple
Awaiting
of others,
orders.
to tell you the truth. But at this point I'm going for the final push more than anything else, so there's not really any point in me dragging this on. I know that this is going to be enough to win, or at least I hope it's going to be enough to win. Unless the Borg got something truly nightmarish waiting for me, I think this is going to be enough to wipe their base
Standing by.
out. But remember, our goal here is to find the
Research
transwarp
complete.
portal, so we might be able to deal with the Borg
Give the
base, but
word.
I've got to be careful, because if I destroy the transwarp portal, that's going to be a major downer. Because as
Awaiting orders.
not very difficult as the mission has been, it still does take a while to get into this sort of position,
Awaiting orders.
so it would be annoying if I
Awaiting
had to
orders.
Enemy engaged.
restart or load a save just because I was a little bit overzealous with
word.
the fire button. Anyway, there's a nexus there, and if you thought that galaxies burnt through a nexus quickly in the last mission, watch this.
Standing by. Standing by. Standing by. Give the word.
Enemy engaged.
Where are we needed?
I believe that that's point made on that
Standing
front.
by. Standing by.
But ooh, look what I found up here.
Yellow
Set my
alert.
ships to yellow alert. I really don't want them
Yellow alert.
burning through the
Activated.
transport portal. And I found a wormhole. Now the question is, where does this wormhole lead? Well, I think one of the repair
Ready for
ships
duty.
can find out about that. What? I'm not wasting a Sovereign class ship in case that comes out in the middle of a red nebula. You think I am? Someone who's got 25,000 dilithium in the bank? Oh,
Entering.
it came out here. I didn't even need to go through the Borg base.
Standing
Well,
by.
that's a little bit embarrassing, but
Awaiting orders.
to be honest, I did want to. To be honest, I did want to go through the Borg base anyway, because it just means the Borg can't send any reinforcements.
Enemy engaged.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the worst type of static defense to use against the Federation, the energy torpedo. Worse because Nebula-class starships can use the point defense
Give the word.
phaser to shoot it down, and the Sovereign-class starship can use the cold might reflector to bounce the torpedoes back at you. It's totally ineffective.
Standing by.
Enemy engaged.
The transwarp portal has been located. Starfleet sensors are picking up a flux in the transwarp portal. A ship is coming through. It's enormous.
Oh, come on, stop fretting. It's not as if the Borg have done anything that impressive so far, and oh my god. Now, I remember a recent Zero punctuation regarding Star Wars The Force Unleashed, where Starkiller was mentioned as being the most powerful thing in existence until the Empire figured out how to nail 3 Death Stars together. Well, the Borg have hereby discovered superglue, and they have stuck 8 cubes together to make this monster the fusion cube. Corbomite reflectors on, phasers to maximum, and just shoot that thing down, please.
Ready and able. Give the word.
Phew, that was a little bit easier than expected. Fortunately, the cube concentrated on one of my Sovereign class ships, and even though it did manage to burn through it with just phaser fire, all its torpedoes that it fired just were reflected straight back at it.
Standing by. Reroute all auxiliary power weapons.
The fusion cube was, I think, a response to a lot of people complaining in Armada 1 that the Borg cube had essentially been hideously nerfed. Which was true. I mean, the hero ships could pretty much take one on without a problem. So, in this game they made the cube a little bit powerful, and they've got the fusion cube in action. Fortunately, that will be pretty much the last time you will see a fusion cube. If the computer could build them naturally, then you'd be in for real trouble, because the computer could just strike anywhere on the map, and you wouldn't be able to stop it. You'd have to have a massive force. I did try on a previous run to try and take it down with medium strength ships, and the result was not pretty. A fusion cube can one-shot pretty much any ship that isn't a Sovereign. So it mowed through my ships in absolutely no time. But anyway, to avoid any problems here, I am going to have my Iwo Jima class marine ships here take over the transwarp portal. And that will be the end of this mission, and next time we will be heading into the Delta Quadrant to finish up this tremendously crappy plan of Starfleet. So, hope you enjoyed, guys. See you next time.
Opening secure transmission to Starfleet.
Picard to Admiral Ryan.
Jean-Luc, it's James. Have you achieved the objective?
Admiral, we have secured the transwarp portal.
Excellent, Jean-Luc. Take your fleet through to secure the other side. Ryan out.
Into the breach. Engage.